Good afternoon. Welcome to our Museum Studies Museums at Noon program. My name is Deirdre Hennebury, and I'm the Associate Director of the Museum Studies program. And I'm very happy to have you join us here in our Zoom room. Amy Smola, our assistant, you can see is also online. If you have any questions, she's helping to manage the chat and also the waiting room. So these Museums at Noon presentations are opportunities for our students, our graduate students in the Museum Studies program, to share their research and also their internship experiences. The internship is a required component of the Museum Studies graduate certificate. And I think it's one of my favorite things to hear the students go off on these different adventures, do this hard work, and then come back to campus or even from remote, share some of the work that they've done, some of the things they've seen and learned. So today we will start with one of our students, Patricia Torres-Pineda, and she is a PhD candidate in ecology and evolutionary biology. Before she came to the University of Michigan to begin her doctoral work, Patricia worked for a decade at the Museo de Historia Natural in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. And while pursuing her studies here at U of M, she's been deeply engaged with the collections of our Museum of Zoology and has been an active member of our museum studies community. Patricia was a recipient of the 2021 Kashner Award from the American Society of Ichthyologists and Herpetologists, and her future career plans include curation of natural history collections and exhibition development. So I'm very pleased to invite Patricia to share some of her work with us.
Thank you, Deirdre. Just confirming that my slides are visible to everyone before I start.
Great. You can start sharing now. I think I was sharing, probably blocked you.
Okay.
Try sharing again. Yep, it looks.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Perfect.
We are live. Great.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Deirdre, for your presentation, and to the Museum Studies program for this incredible opportunity to go to a world-class museum and have these amazing opportunities and experiences. And mine was at the National Museum, the National Museum of Natural History of Bern. And let's start. I don't think I have to introduce myself anymore since Deirdre introduced me very well. And so since my early days as a biology student, I have been fascinated with natural history collections. Natural history collections are at the centerpiece of biological research. The research that people like me and many others do would not be possible without the huge comparative material that natural history collections allow us to access. Each specimens in this collection can be seen as a unique document or book recording of an aspect of life on Earth at a particular time and place. And these specimens comprise the foundation of a plethora of biological environmental research, allowing us to study life from the past, the present, and the future. And all of these pillars of collections, stewardship, research, and communication of science are pillars that definitely inform the type of institution that I wanted to do my internship at. And this led me to the beautiful city of Bern in Switzerland, which is the de facto federal capital city of Switzerland, in which I stayed for 3 months during the early months of September and December of last year. And I participated as an intern at the Museum of Natural History of Bern. So the Museum of Natural History of Bern was the first museum of the city of Bern. It was founded in 1832, and it has been in its current location since 1934. Um, uh, in comparison with like many buildings of the time, this particular building is a purpose or functional focused building, which was a purposeful rejection to monumentality, contribution to Swiss modernism, which goes in contrast to many of the building facilities that were common at that time. The Museum of Natural History of Bern is a public museum, but it's also a scientific institute under the community of peoples of the city of Bern. And also one of the unique things about this museum is that it's actually encompassed in a broader network of other institutions, which is called the Bern Museum Quartier. The Bern Museum Quartier is a network of 11 institutions, not all of them pictured here, that are located at the very heart of the city of Bern. And these area function as a urban space and also a cultural cluster, and develops thematic cooperation and position all of these institutions, including the Museum of Natural History, at the center of the identity of the city and the community of people of the city of Bern. Many of these museums and institutions that offer exhibitions offer joint interinstitutional programs, including exhibitions that feed and communicate with each other in real time. The three central pillars of the Museum of Natural History of Bern are exhibitions and outreach, scientific collections, and research and teaching. I will be sharing my experiences within the context of scientific collections, which is the area in which I participated most actively during my internship, but I also will be sharing some insights and lessons learned on how exhibitions and research is interconnected with the collection at the museum. So my role at the Museum of Natural History of Bern was based on assistance on the collection management and curation of the collection of fishes of the museum under Dr. Lucas Ruber, which is the curator of the collection of fishes at the museum. This collection is the largest collection of fishes in Switzerland, with about 24,000 individual fishes collected. And this collection is particularly strong in fishes of the Alpine region of Europe, but also Southeast Asian freshwater fishes. And as you can imagine, such a large and important collection needs constant day-to-day managerial activities, such as the processing of loans, donations, accessioning, cataloging of new material, which is constantly coming to the collections, physical inspection of the specimens, making sure that they are in good shape, and also all things related with bookkeeping. Listing and updating the information available in the databases, and that making sure that this information is available to other research institutions in the region that may need to gain access to this material. Also, besides the day-to-day work of collection management, I also participated in special directed projects, one of which was a Museomics project, which has to do with sampling of DNA from historical material. And I will be talking a little bit more of that very soon. And also field expeditions, since this is a collection that is ever growing. And still to this day, new material is being incorporated, is being collected. It is a very important part of the museum practice to be able to link the connection between work in the field and how this connects to the curation and the management of the collection once it's in the deposits. Also, because this fish collection is so large and is so unique and is also one of the oldest collections in Europe, uh, it has a very historical relevance, and which makes it very which makes it to have a cross-boundary reach, where it is not only just a collection, but it's also actually part of the exhibitions. Something very interesting about the Museum of Natural History of Bern is that they found a very creative and unique alternative of the constant fear that collections have of uh, running out of space, right? So an alternative that the museum at Bern uh, found was to place the collections itself in the exhibition space. What you're seeing right now is a display collection called the Wunderkammer, which actually become has become a highlight of the museum and one of the visitors' favorites, in which uh, a big part of the collections of the museum are in these in the center of the museum as part of their exhibitions, in which the public can gain access and understanding on the importance of natural history collections, why they are important, why it's not just a cabinet of curiosity, but it is more than that. It is an active research tool that is actually in constant change. Material is constantly being taken out for loans or migrate to the lab for research or other types of exhibition purposes, are loaned to other museums. New material is being collected. So it's like a very much beating heart of the collections that is now being open to the public. And more than 19,000 specimens are in this area. And most of them are actually fish specimens, since the fish collection, as I already said, is one of the largest and oldest archives of Swiss fish fauna in Switzerland. These Wunderkammer, or Cabinet of Curiosity, that display collections, as the exhibition is called, brings a link between collections, archiving, research, and also communication. So one of the things or activities that I accomplished and participated with at the museum was the use of historical specimens in order to extract DNA from them. For example, material that have been archived at the Wunderkammer was located and subsampled for a collaborative research between French and Swiss institutions that are trying to understand the decline of a critically endangered species of fish that is native of this area that is endemic of this area of the world. And this fish is critically endangered. Very few populations remain in France and in Switzerland. And the Natural History Museum of Bern, as a very important archival of Swiss fish fauna, has material for this species since the early 1900s. So part of the project is try to understand and compare the genetic structure of contemporary populations versus historical populations of these species of fish. And we are able to do that because we have this material from the 1900s, and we now can use it for extract DNA from them and use it for these genomic purposes, and hopefully also that will inform conservation in the near future. And we can understand how to manage better these remaining populations of these fish. Also, another big part of the work at the NMPE has to do with field expeditions. As I said, this is a museum that is an active research institution that is actively doing expeditions, surveys of fauna, and bringing new material to the collection. And I also participated in fish surveys that were jointly spearheaded by the University of Bern, uh, but with the material being deposited at the Museum of Natural History, I was part and was able to participate uh, in the um, in the activities in the field, but also when they came to the museum for sessioning, cataloging, and further processing of the data. So contrary to what might be the expectation that faunal animal diversity in this part of the world is probably not very high, is actually extremely rich. There's at least over 100 species of fishes that occur in Switzerland. And this is very interesting when we take into consideration that during the last ice age, the landscape of Switzerland was deeply altered, and the receding icebergs gave rise to the complex system of mountains, rivers, and lakes that we see nowadays. And these isolation allow for the diversification of animals, and you have sometimes totally different communities of fishes and other types of animals that are totally different from one lake to the other, or one side of the mountain to the other. And this is a pattern that is very relevant to me since I study this same type um, of patterns, but in the Caribbean, but also seeing the same evolutionary and ecological patterns arising in this area of the world was something that was very relevant to me and also very powerful. So these fish surveys allow for the detection of quick biodiversity. Uh, Basically, what that means is that at the naked eye, sometimes we are not able to pinpoint the difference between species or populations. But thanks to the comparing material that we have, thanks to collections, we can revisit these species. And actually, many species have been newly described in Switzerland in the past 5 years alone. So that speaks volumes of the level of biodiversity that we still don't know in this part of the world, which is also very similar to my model of study in the Caribbean. So, as I said, I participated in the field expeditions along with the university, the Institute of Aquatic Ecology and Evolution of the University of Bern. We surveyed fish in several rivers of Switzerland for a few weeks, and we followed the extended specimen standards in which multiple types of data are recorded alongside with the preserved voucher individual. So collecting the fish is just the beginning of the work. After the fishes are collected, we go through very careful and meticulous bookkeeping, documentation, recording of the habitat in which the fishes have been collected, the environmental conditions, both quantitative and qualitative, uh, of the space and the time where the collection took place. We take photography, so we know exactly the coloration patterns of the fish while they were alive. We also, very important, take tissue vouchers that will be used later for DNA sampling, and also other things such as stomach sampling in this particular case, since also there's efforts in trying to understand the diet of many of these species. And this is also a research that is in collaboration with the University of Bern. So once in the lab and in the museum, there's further processing of these specimens that allow for an increased accessibility. And this is what this standard specimen standard is about. So in general, uh, I learned very valuable lessons in the importance of linking collections to exhibitions, but also provenance research in exhibitions. Even though my work was not focused on the exhibitory work at the museum, for me, it was very evident to see how the many creative ways in which collections and exhibitions can be linked, um, and there's many examples of this in the Museum of Natural History of Bern. In general, my experiences at the NMBE exemplifies the power of science communication by transforming a stewardship. Um, the NMBE as an institution is not isolated, but integrated into a broader community of researchers and the general public. And this is exactly what, to me, exemplifies what a transformative natural history museum experience can be, in which museums communicate science not as facts alone, but as stories of nature, identity, and responsibility to take action. So with this, I will say thank you to my funding sources and to everyone that was so good to me and supported so much at the NMBE and also at the University of Bern. And I'll be happy to um, answer questions and hear your comments at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patricia. We are going to have a few minutes at the end of our hour together for questions for both Pat and for Timmy. But now, without further delay, so we can hear from our other student, I'd like to quickly introduce our next speaker. So Timilehin is Ayelagbe is a PhD candidate in anthropology, and his research as a paleo-environmental scientist and archaeologist focuses on climate change, ecology, and households. Timmy works primarily in Nigeria, specifically the Yoruba Edo region, with a focus on environmental change and socio-political systems. And actually, Timmy's joining us from Nigeria today. A recipient of a 2022 Rackham Public Scholarship Grant, Timmy's ongoing project, the Edo Heritage and Public Archaeology Project, seeks to develop and improve the understanding of the people in local heritage studies. Looking forward, Timmy's interested in how museums can foreground labor, landscape, and community histories in the presentation of material culture. Timmy, you are welcome to share your slides whenever you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you. My internship was at MOWAA. So, I'm Timilehin. I'm currently in Nigeria doing my field work for my doctoral program. I would like to start by stating that museums often present objects as finished works, complete, polished, detached, and without much to say about interpretations of how it is formed. My time at MOWAA made me to reflect on this, on how interpretation should instead begin with materials, labor, and the landscape from which these materials, finished products that are being exhibited are from. So my internship was at MOWAA, which is the Museum of West African Art. It's a contemporary institution that is dedicated to the preservation, interpretation, and presentation of West African artistic and cultural heritage. It operates as both a research center and exhibition space. Hopes to do that and bring together scholarship, collections, and public programming, which I'll be sharing some of them in this presentation. So, what's the nature of MOWAA and what kind of programming do they have? It's a collection. Its collection and programming emphasizes regional artistic tradition, which focuses on West Africa. And its programming includes exhibitions, educational initiatives such as students coming in to understand what heritage is, what archaeology is. It's public-facing scholarship that connects local audiences with cultural histories rooted in the region from where MOWAA operates from, which is West Africa. Its proximity fundamentally shapes curatorial responsibility, as we shall see, because it's close to the area which it exhibits materials from. This shapes the way the exhibitions and curatorial works is being exhibited, and that shaped my understanding of museum work in West Africa. So my internship at MOWAA was in 3 phases. I was joined to the research, interpretation, exhibition, and curation. I spent most of my time at the curation, but had time with all of this. Rather than being confined to just one single department, this multiple department helped me to understand more about how a museum works, from researching, from designing an exhibition, designing a project, to the curatorial work and the exhibition proper and installation of that exhibition. So, research contribution. My research responsibility in the research contribution included analyzing objects, such as this. This is an example of the Uku bronzes found in southeastern Nigeria, West Africa today. I analyzed objects like this to understand the artistic work and to try and understand what could have led to the creation of this in the context of the environment, the landscape, the labor involved in making such, the science involved in making such at the time, and writing a piece on this. I did write a piece on 3 of their objects. And this task required also translating scholarly knowledge into language accessible to museum audiences while maintaining intellectual accuracy. In this case, the museum being at the center of the culture which they're exhibiting makes it a little bit more challenging. Trying to understand, bringing intellectual academic language, breaking it down to local languages that is acceptable and accurate at the same time. This was challenging, but a very wonderful experience for me to understand how museum practices works. So, in exhibition development, I contributed to narrative framing, label writing, and display planning. This experience demonstrated that interpretation is not neutral. As in one of our museum studies pro-seminar, this was one topic that fascinates me, and during this process I was able to understand that even in framing the write-up, in planning the exhibition, the curatorial work, interpretation has started. And it's not just when the objects are being displayed or when people come in that interpretation happens. It is constructed through curatorial decision about what to include, what to emphasize, how objects relate spatially, what objects are bolding, what language to use, and what object to exclude. All of this help frame my work as I went into creating an exhibition for the Museum of West African Art during my internship. My curatorial experience with MOWAA made me to understand that creating can be synonymous to argument in space. Questions that arose to me was, what should be there? What reflects my curatorial statement more? What objects can be excluded? What words can be added? What objects can be added, and what are the things that can be removed? This required selecting objects, shaping narrative structure, and determining interpretive emphasis. I came to understand that creating is fundamentally an intellectual act, an argument expressed, and not just a piece of object hanged around in the exhibition hall. This video shows a little bit peep into the exhibition space. The exhibition I created is an open-air exhibition that is in line with what MOWAA is currently doing, which is the landscaping of its complex, trying to bring local objects back made of wood, and showing local trees that should be planted. One of my curatorial statements has this short excerpt. All of this unfolds against a backdrop of global urgency. As climate conversation intensify, the pressure to go green often overlooks a deep injustice. The world's most industrialized nation, built on wealth of fossil fuel and extraction, now urge restraint from those still finding footings. It's a contradiction that's hard to ignore. Conservation for whom, by whom, to whose benefit? This is an argument that got to me by conversations with local people as I was trying to create this particular exhibition called the Garden of Heritage, which I was tasked to create during my time. Questions were raised that, you're asking us not to use this tree to keep the forest, because Benin, where the museum is situated, is in a lowland rainforest, which is one of the few remaining in West Africa. Most have gone to felling of trees. The people of Benin use this wood for wood carving, for a lot of artistic work. And when you talk about conservation, the question they ask is, are you asking us to let go of our way of life? And this exhibition keyed into what MOWAA is doing to say, no, we can do the two together. And this was a very transformative process for me. So as the museum is ensuring that arts works like wood carving, sculptures are being preserved for the future, they are also actively planting and encouraging the public to plant. And this exhibition, which I created, was to showcase that this is possible, that we should not let go of either of the two, the way of life and protecting the climate, our planet Earth. Sorry. Okay. So, but in all of this, what surprised me most, one of the biggest surprises, was realizing that interpretation begins long before an object reaches the gallery. For instance, the objects seen in these pictures, these are just woods taken from certain trees that are used for making sculptures. And the question was, should the sculptures themselves be exhibited, or should the woods be exhibited, or the trees? Or can we just exhibit the seedlings of the trees that are planted? And we came up with a question, with something that, we can exhibit the wood, let people understand where all of these sculptures are coming from, and exhibit the sculptures by the side. Also, some of these are used for herbal medicine, local herbal medicine. Okay, we can exhibit the plants, where it's coming from, and showcase the medicine and showcase a plant. So people were made to see all of this and take a tree and go plant a tree as part of the tree planting initiative of the museum. This make me understand curatorial work is more collaborative than a man knows all. Why the curator is trained and experienced in doing all of this. This experience showcased the collaborative nature of a true curatorial work in West Africa, I would say. And this, I also understand institutional context shapes many. As MOWAA is more of a community-based kind of research organization, the community take has a lot into the kind of exhibition we do and not just the object, which informs the kind of exhibition that I was tasked to create in the first place. Well, what are the challenges that I found that are facing this institution? Like many museums, MOWAA faces the challenge of presenting complex histories in ways that remain accessible without oversimplifying them. For instance, the felling of tree, climate change. We cannot oversimplify this. We should avoid oversimplifying this, but at the same time, we should make it one that is inclusive enough for all that is involved. It must balance scholarly depth with public clarity while also working within real institutional constraints. Talking about ethics of representation in museum work. MOWAA is trying to do this, and this is a picture of what MOWAA hopes to be. And this is where the MOWAA Institute is today. It was opened finally November last year. This is how the trees that have been planted on the campus will look like when they are all grown. However, MOWAA is planting these trees across the states, starting with Benin City, and hopefully across West Africa when the museum starts functioning in full capacity. The opportunities. At the same time, while there are challenges, the institution has powerful advantages. Its location within the cultural environment it interprets allows it to draw on local knowledge, systems, and heritage landscapes. This proximity enables forms of interpretations that museums removed from their source communities often cannot achieve. For instance, in this case, arts, the labor of the people, and the landscape were being able to bring together to showcase the riches of the West African lowland rainforest. At the same time, to show the artwork that can come out of it, the labor of the people, while not ignoring Mother Earth, making the earth green. So this kind of museum, which is community-centered and based in the community where it's showcasing the materials, can help us to be able to do a lot of interdisciplinary work in museum studies. For instance, Museum of West African Art is also involved in archaeological research, which I have been a part of, excavating even the site where the museum was built, and exhibiting some of these materials, bringing in several kind of researchers across the world and showcasing the beauty of archaeology. For instance, this it hopes to do in other disciplines like ecotourism. And my point here is that a community-based museum can encourage interdisciplinary research in museum spaces and help with interpretation and understanding of what museum spaces can be and should be. My central takeaway from this experience is that interpretation becomes richer when museums foreground production process, like how were these sculptures made, rather than just exhibiting the sculptures. How were these pottery made, instead of just exhibiting the ceramics. So when we foreground production process, environmental knowledge, and labor embedded in artistic creation, rather than just focusing only on finished objects, which often happens. But in this case, this exhibition helps to focus on all of this, the environment, and how all of these artworks could affect or help the environment, and the process of making all of this. So reflecting on all of this, I think museums are sites of knowledge making, but this internship fundamentally reshaped how I understand all of this. I now see them not simply as repository of objects, but as sites where knowledge is produced through curatorial decisions, decisions that end up affecting interpretation of the curator, of the museum staffs, and the visitors. It's produced through institutional priorities and community relationships, which can be seen directly or indirectly in what is exhibited and the experiences of the people that visit such museums. Thank you for listening. I would like to end with this note. My time at MOWAA showed me that museums center context, process, and community. They do more about this than just displaying objects. They reveal the words that produce them, and they reveal who the curators are. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Timmy. Here, I will. There we go. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to both Pat and to Timmy for sharing your very thoughtful insights about your internship experiences. There's some crossover and similarity of some themes, but of course, very different collections, very different institutions. And so now what I would like to do in the remaining sort of 15 minutes of our Museum at Noon session is invite questions in the chat, or if you'd like to raise a hand, we can have you share a question verbally. Any questions for either Pat or Timmy, we welcome at this time. I have just a quick logistical question for Timmy. Timmy, you mentioned the museum's not yet open at full capacity, and I'm wondering what is the timeline for these different facets of MOWAA to be in full operation?
Okay, MOWAA is made up of, it's called Museum of West African Arts, but MOWAA is more like an institute. So it has what is called the Institute Building, it has what is called the Rainforest Gallery, it has research components. So today, the Institute Building is open, and the Institute Building houses artworks from around the West Africa that has been exhibited from around the world or that are loaned to MOWAA. For instance, the object I showed in my presentation is the Ugo bronze, was loaned to the Museum of West African Arts by the National Commission of Museum and Monuments in Nigeria. So it's part of what I think they hope to exhibit, and that is why I was tasked with writing, having a write-up on that. So the timeline is not well spelled out as you see in the museum, in the website, but I believe it's progressing, because the Rainforest Gallery building was in final stages when I was having my internship. I've not been there since I came back to Nigeria, so I foresee that opening sometime this year, next year. So that's what I mean by not functioning full capacity. Yeah.
Right. No, thank you very much. It's just helpful to get a sense of the different sort of facets of their programming. And
one more thing,
yeah.
The museum is not just an exhibition museum. Speaking with the director, I found out that they exhibit, they help. It's more about promoting heritage, culture in West Africa. But they do have, when you walk into the institute building, you see their working space where they keep the artworks and other things, where they are creating them. And what's the word? Before you can exhibit, you have to take care of the objects. I've forgotten the word.
Conservation?
Yes, conservation. You see them, it's a see-through kind of walkway. So it's part of their form of exhibition. So you walk in and you see where they're doing the conservation work. So, and they bring a lot of artisans in to work on contemporary artwork. So a museum that is developing, started in 2020, and this is the 6th year, and this is just the first year where the institute building, the first permanent building, is erected. So they've been using a temporary building all uh, ever since.
Great. Thank you so much, Timmy. And actually, the visibility of the conservation work really speaks to your interest in foregrounding the production process. And it brings me actually to a question for Pat about what you referred to so eloquently as sort of the beating heart of the institution. And that is that Wunderkammer space, the sort of visible storage. And I'm wondering if you mentioned that the objects or the specimens and materials that are on display there are activated through research and they're switched out. Can you talk just a little bit more about that Wunderkammer space, which the photograph you shared is just amazing. So I want to know a little more about that.
Yeah, so it is all of those things. It is an archive of historical collections that are closed, but there's also new material coming in. The University of Bern and the museum have very strong collaborations for years and years, and even to this day, in which the university, for the most part, spearheads the research and the field expeditions with the total intention that the material will eventually go to the collection. So a lot of that material goes to the Wunderkammer. Other part of the material goes to the deposits that are close to the public. It depends on exactly the nature of the project because there's several projects. I didn't talk about that, but there's several projects that have uh, different specific purposes, but like all of them encompassing the broader purpose of creating a national Swiss faunistic like inventory of all the species in Switzerland. And the Wunderkammer is like part of that. Yeah, like there's as part of the same area, there's the molecular lab facility as well that is also in this kind of like open with clear crystal windows that what you can see like the people passing and yeah, I worked there a lot of time, several times, kind of like the same concept as in the biological sciences building, in which you have like the laboratory facilities also being open for the public as a way of like communicating with the public, like this is what we are doing, like researching all of that, right? So yeah, it's a very unique space. Aesthetically is also very pleasing. So it's like very conducive for taking pictures and just like lose yourself into checking out like all of the different specimens that you can see from outside. But there's also a lot that you cannot see from outside. So there's like this play, how I see a play between it is there, open, available, but it is like real research happening like at the moment. So it's very, for me, it's like a um, very powerful thing.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah, in both cases, the sort of visibility of the research and the production of materials is really pleasing. It looks like we have a couple of questions. Arancha, please, if you'd like to unmute.
Hi. Yeah, for Patricia, you were talking about the Wunderkammer case, which is amazing. But I was just wondering, it seems so bright and with the glass walls. How do you balance? How do they balance preservation and display? And for Timmy, I wanted to ask. It seems like this has been a large project in the making, and seems like the community is already like very much involved. Um, I guess I wanted to ask like how like is the community like is the community as aware as it seems to be and is it enjoying the process and how like how much time, what is the time period that the museum has?
Okay, I guess I'll jump in for the question about the lighting situation there. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up because it might seem that it's like, oh, it's very bright, and definitely that it will affect the specimens there with time. But the truth is that it is not as bright. I'm pretty sure that particular photo, they like put light so it looks very good in the photos, right? But like normally when you go there, it's very dim light, extremely dim actually, which it's in order to make sure that all the material there will be in good preserved for like time and time. So yeah, no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I got the first part of the question, which I'll answer, but I don't seem to get the second part. Talking about the community, I think I was with the museum in 2022, 2023, before the start of my doctoral program. And I think the museum had, to the best of my knowledge, has been carrying the community along. But during my internship, I gave a talk, an in-house talk to the staff of the museum. I was part of my assignment was to give a talk on inclusivity, DI basically, something like that. Just to make that brief. And one of the questions that keeps popping out is what is the definition of who our community is? How large can our community be? And that's I think that is the real question that I think you're asking. That how are they? And this is a question. It's a young museum. This is a question the museum is gradually, from my knowledge, learning to understand and framing and reframing. This is not to say there are no forms of rancor between the museum and the community as it is today. A simple Google search will show you some of what has happened over the last 4 months or so. But I think when it comes to the exhibition and the output of the museum, it is community based on the definition of what the community is at that particular point in time. I don't know if I have answered your question on the other side part of the question.
Thank you, Timmy. Yeah, I think Arancha, did that cover sort of your questions? Okay, we're getting the thumbs up. Fantastic. It looks like we have another question. Kahinde, would you like to unmute and share your question?
Yes, thank you very much, Patricia and Simi. I enjoyed your presentation. Simi, I have a question specifically for you. You talked about the museum space not being open until later, and I'm just curious to know how the official opening of the museum would maybe contribute, impact, or affect the direction of your research. Do you think anything like that would happen?
Okay, you see, um, I would like to be a little bit political with this question because I think the opening of the museum happened November last year, and this was, in fact, not the opening of the museum. It's just the first exhibition in the new space. So it's there's the Nigerian homecoming. So the Museum of West African Art has helped to facilitate an exhibition in the Venice Biennale. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, which would be the first Nigerian exhibition in that exhibition space for a long time. So this opening in quotes was showcasing some of what was exhibited for Nigeria in that, and it was to signal to the world that Nigeria and MOWAA is ready to work with artwork across to tell the world. And so how that could impact work going forward, I can't say, but what I can say is it's a world-class building, and which makes research and very easy. They have world-class research facility in there. I would say comparable to what we have at the Research Museum Center on campus. So this is the first of its kind in West Africa. So that will help research a lot.
Thank you, Timmy. Well, oh good, we're getting a thumbs up from Kahinde. We are reaching the sort of conclusion of our hour. A few people are already logging off, running to next classes. I just want to thank all of you for logging in for this Museums at Noon event. And especially, I want to thank Patricia and Timilehin for preparing these very thoughtful presentations. I one of the goals of these internships is for students to be able to go to placements that are of interest to them, where they can see how museums operate, in this case, in different parts of the world with different specialized collections. And I want to thank both of you for giving us these little snapshots of what your experience was and that we also can learn through your experience. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And I hope everyone enjoys the remainder of their afternoon and join us again for another Museum Studies event in the future. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.